We got another Cash App request, and brace yourself, guys, this one is going to be a long one. Create a team of Power Rangers, one for each one of the Lantern Rings in DC Comics. Except we're giving the Black Lantern Ring to one of their villains to fight these Rangers. Now, I just gotta preface, there were a couple categories that I really couldn't figure out because I couldn't really think of who would fit properly, but I did fill most of the Lantern Corps with at least a Ranger. But another thing, a couple of the Lantern Corps I couldn't think of a Ranger, so I did fill in with a villain that I thought would best fit for it. First off, we're going to start out with the Green Lantern Ring of Willpower. And who better to represent willpower than the original Green Ranger himself, Tommy Oliver? The dude's not only got enough willpower to be a Ranger in the first place, but be a Ranger on at least 4 different Power Ranger teams and be holding the title of at least these 5 Rangers. He was the original Green Ranger, then he was the White Ranger. He was the leader of 2 Ranger teams, and he was effectively the mentor of another in the Black Ranger. Now, the next 3 rings, they are villains. I specifically picked villains for these because they best fit for what the ring is. For the Red Lantern ring, I'm going with Grum from SPD. Not only does his appearance fit for that of a Red Lantern, just look at this man. He looks like a walking Halloween decoration. But he's also filled with so much rage, specifically towards a single person being Anubis Kruger. Prior to the events of SPD, he effectively pulled a Frieza and wiped out pretty much all of Kruger's species. To my knowledge, the only 2 living people of his species are Kruger and his wife. And Grum made it like his sole mission to try and take down Kruger in his entire operation. If that isn't rage and contempt for somebody, I don't know what is. For the Fear ring, the Yellow Lantern ring, I'm gonna go with Lord Zed. Not only was he a very long-lasting villain, but was most feared because of his overwhelming power, even in comparison to Rita. Even with all the different power-ups the Rangers got, they never felt confident enough to try and fight Zed head-on. Or anytime that they were confronted with Zed, they were never confident in the fact that they could make it out of there in one piece. Now, I couldn't see any other villain better for the Orange Lantern ring than Venjix. The Venjix virus wanted to solely wipe out humanity to develop himself into the ultimate AI, the ultimate machine. He didn't care what it cost. He wanted to wipe out the last bastion of humanity for his sole gain, and he did not care who was sacrificed in the process. Back to some actually good characters now, we've got Anubis Kruger. And for those that haven't watched SPD, yes, he is a dogman. But he is also, at least in my opinion, the strongest SPD Ranger, even in comparison to the Red Ranger with his power amps that he gets. As I mentioned earlier, he is one of the last, I believe, 2 of his entire species as a whole, and effectively built the SPD Police Foundation as a galactic space cop. This man I have for the Blue Lantern ring. He is absolutely instilling hope in countless people, ranging from the Rangers themselves down to the single civilian at random that is under the protection of SPD. And no joke, if Kruger were to be defeated or taken out, the hope everyone else would have would plummet. So, having him as a Blue Lantern ring seems quite fitting. I'm choosing Lord Draken for the Ring of Compassion. And I know what people might be thinking. Why compassion? He doesn't have compassion. Exactly. The Ring of Compassion in DC does not feed on compassion. It latches onto a host that lacks it. And once it latches onto this host, the only emotion that that ranger can feel, or just host in general, is compassion. Now, there's 2 rings I'm going to be skipping over, mainly because I'm not sure who I can narrow down to fit in either of them. There's the Ring of Love and the Ring of Life, the White Lantern ring and the Violet Lantern ring. So I'm going to let the comments try and decide on who fits those 2. But no doubt I immediately knew who was going to be the villain for the Ring of Death. and that would absolutely have to be Emperor Marvo from Super Megaforce. The dude literally runs a galactic empire, which I believe in the lore, any alien-based villains from any of the series prior, if they originated from space, they were at least a part of his overall empire. And in terms of thematics, he basically is the Power Ranger Frieza. He has a galactic spanning empire with countless forces that even the Super Megaforce team, with all their Ranger spirits, took everything to take him down. And when it comes to the Black Lantern ring specifically, any person who is struck down by the hands of the leader and host of the ring can be summoned as basically an undead servant of the host. So just think about how many possible worlds that Emperor Marvo single-handedly or was the direct cause of overtaking and slaughtering their populations. Screw his living armada. With his ring, he effectively wears an army on his finger.